This is Community Concerns. New York is a thriving, vivacious, lively city. As any other city, it has its share of problems. Some of these troubles are not easily noticed. We will touch on two of them in this half hour. Here is Scott Stringer, Manhattan Borough President.
My name is Scott Stringer, Manhattan Borough President. New York City is just the greatest in the world, and our people are the most civic-minded and socially conscious that you will find anywhere. Today, we're going to talk about two important topics: affordable housing and Alzheimer's disease. Stay tuned. Single-room occupancy hotels have long been a place where people can live in communities at an affordable rent. The demise of SROs have caused an affordable housing crisis and has contributed to a housing crisis the likes we've never seen.
Single-room occupancy residences have been providing low-cost sheltering for some of the city's population. The tenants in these rent-controlled dwellings are speaking out against a trend, and local political leaders are trying to address their concerns in Heartbreak Hotels.
It was a bitter cold day in the middle of February. They were all there because in all their buildings, all over Manhattan, all over New York, landlords are systematically converting apartments and single-room occupancy rooms into illegal hotels for tourists.
On a cold but sunny Sunday in the middle of February 2007, West Side residents gathered by Riverside Park. They were there to protest the practice of using their buildings as illegal hotels.
War is right here in New York City. Illegal activity going all around town.
I'm the director of organizing at Housing Conservation Coordinators. Our agency provides legal services to tenants all over the west side of Manhattan. We started to notice over a series of months last year that people came in with the same complaint over and over, that their landlord was trying to evict them, their landlord was accusing them of not paying their rent or accusing them of something they hadn't done because the landlord was turning their apartment building into a hotel for tourists.
One of the problems that has come up recently is the issue of illegal hotels. It's a really prominent problem in SRO buildings. Tenants have been coming to us to talk about the fact that a lot of the rooms that are in the building where they live are being rented out to tourists, and that the landlord is using the building that is an actual SRO building for permanent tenants as a tourist hotel. And this isn't, in fact, an illegal act, but it's been very difficult to enforce and to get the landlord to realize that this is not a way to profit.
We're living in a city where we know we have a crisis in affordable housing, and we are losing our affordable units, not by the 10s and 20s anymore, but sometimes by the hundreds and thousands each week. And one of the issues that was brought to my attention as a state senator representing the East Side and Midtown was this pattern of what we've started to call illegal hotel conversions.
Well, many landlords have been illegally renting out apartments as transient hotel rooms. The reason they do it is it's a way to empty out a building so it's easier to co-op or condo the building and still make money out of the units while they are effectively empty of tenants. It can also be a way for a landlord to just avoid the rent stabilization laws by renting out as a hotel instead of as a regular rental apartment. Either way, it deprives New York of rental housing, something we desperately need, and it also makes life miserable for the residential tenants in the building.
Our agency provides all sorts of legal services and organizing services for tenants on the west side, but my job specifically as a community organizer is to bring together people from all over the neighborhood when they're having a common problem that affects a bunch of people in a bunch of different buildings.
I grew up on the Upper West Side. One of the outstanding features of the Upper West Side was the mix of people who lived there. So you had more wealthy people living on Central Park West, perhaps, Riverside Drive, and you also had low-income people, and then you had people who had modest means but were essential to the fabric of the neighborhood, and those were people who lived in single-room occupancy.
The issue of illegal hotels started perhaps on the west side or the east side. It's a Manhattan issue, and what happened is that actually people who work in our office here on the west side of Manhattan brought to our attention that in the residential hotels and the single-room occupancy buildings on the west side, there were transient visitors on a continual basis. So you wake up one day and all of a sudden there's a group of people who are there for 2 nights, 1 night, backpacks. Hotels pay a hotel tax. Were these places paying a hotel tax? Are they hotels?
It was a bitter cold day in the middle of February, but we had probably about 100 people, tenants from all over the west side, who got together in Riverside Park to protest the practice of all of their landlords, which is to convert their apartments and their neighbors' apartments into hotel rooms for tourists.
Our landlord has been renting to tourists nightly, and this is an SRO, a permanent residency, so it's highly illegal what he's been doing.
I've lived here about 12, 13 years. This is an SRO, a single occupancy residency hotel. In the past year, a year and a half, the landlord has been renting it out as transient hotels, as tourist hotels.
My home, Dexter House, is actually an illegal hotel being visited by people from all over the world.
The crackdown really came 2.5 years ago. I've had to see my friends being taken to court on spurious charges. They've evicted anyone they could easily get rid of, they slapped with an eviction suit.
And I've lived in the Dexter House since 1991, and that is 16 years. And in 2004, the beginning of July, I was elected as the president of the Dexter House Tenants Association. Right after that, the building started to harass me, and soon thereafter, I received an eviction notice.
This is contributing to the homelessness of New York. There is no reason why we should have people sleeping on park benches when there are nice, warm, and comfortable apartments here that are affordable. I'm a tenant in the premises here, which was formerly an SRO, single-room occupancy.
Over the past year, we've lost 1/3 of our tenants. I would say about 80 to 100 rooms.
And now it's being used as an illegal hotel. There's an issue with security. We don't know who lives here, who's coming and going, and we would like that stopped, to revert back to have these apartments, which are rent stabilized, rented for their legal rents, so that they're not taken off the market, causing a lack of affordable housing.
I've lived here since 1979, and sadly I have witnessed a terrible transition. Many of the tenants that lived in this building no longer have a home here. Some of them are homeless on the street.
So they're looking for all kind of tricks to get rid of as many of us as they can. So they can put the tourists here and other people where they can get more money.
Harassment is the major tool used by the management of my building to encourage tenants to leave.
They just want to stay in their apartments. They want to live unmolested in the residential space that they've had for years and years. And unfortunately, because of the illegal hotel situation, landlords have discovered that if they try to kick tenants out of their apartments, they can make more money renting the same apartment to tourists.
Tenants find it very disturbing to have to share bathrooms with strangers.
We got particular complaints because not only were there security issues in the building, and in some cases loud partying that was going on all night, but then there was the Super Shuttle that showed up. That's the blue van with the yellow writing that goes to the airport.
We have a lot of people coming in and out of the building all hours of the night.
And we have no security, so we don't know who's coming and who's going.
We have to wait to get our own mail.
We've seen an increase in petty theft, prostitution. We did have a drug bust here over New Year's.
We have to wait for the elevators. The elevators break a lot.
The elevator now is often broken. It's noisy around here, and the neighbors here complain about it.
Landlords harassing tenants on a much higher level because they see the profit they make from renting out rooms to tourists.
And the owners of the buildings are not licensed.
We know people on different floors who have been assaulted by tourists.
A neighbor of mine on the 16th floor was assaulted, a member of the management staff.
I've been accosted and verbally harassed by the management of the building.
Harassment is the major tool used by the management of my building.
It's all harassment, and their intention is to try to get us to leave.
I'm here in New York. We're about 30 years into what is universally recognized as a housing crisis. when you have residential space, you need to do everything you can to fight and keep it.
Who's building? Our building. Who's building? Our building. Peace and quiet. Not a Hyatt. 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 Who's building? Our building. Who's building? Our building.
Councilmember Gail Brewer came, Assemblymember Dick Gottfried, Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal, State Senator Liz Krueger, and the Manhattan Borough President Scott Stringer.
It is simply unacceptable to allow landlords to illegally squander permanently affordable units just to make a buck for themselves. I am pleased to be here today with my colleagues from the city and the state, and they will announce legislation that will impose serious fines for these actions.
We need to tighten the definitions so it is clearer what is a residential use and what is an illegal hotel use. The law has to be made much stronger and much clearer so that we will be able to crack down on these illegal operations.
We think that what we are doing is not only the right thing for the tenants in these buildings, it's the right thing from a public policy perspective to protect affordable housing for the residents of New York City. And we're feeling quite confident that city government joins us in state government in believing that we need to do this, that we have tools that we have to provide for them so they can stop this outrage.
This is a scam. This is illegal. These landlords should know better. Shame on them. We should mobilize the city and let people scream loud and clear that we know that this illegal conduct is going to end up destroying the fabric of our city.
If we are to preserve the units and get rid of the illegal hotels, we would have hundreds, if not thousands, of affordable units in Manhattan. And that's what we want.
So I want to give praise to the city and state leaders who are here today, but all of you here, let us make it clear that we're going to hold every elected official accountable so that we can have a New York that all of us can live in.
Everybody would come together and they were all doing something about this problem that everybody had been having for months and sometimes years. And it wasn't just the tenants. They had prominent local elected officials out there to support them.
There are different laws for hotels, different safety standards for hotels, and these are all in violation of housing law, hotel law, the fire department safety standards, and it's a growing problem.
The New York media covered the event.
And it worked. We had 4 news stations, we had 3 radio stations, we had 4 or 5 publications, and they all came. They followed us into the building, they talked to the tenants, and they came to understand the story. They just want to stay in their apartments. They want to live unmolested in the residential space that they've had for years and years.
The point is that tenants have a right to live in their rooms. This is their building. This is where they've built a community.
This is what we're fighting against. It's become the scourge of the Upper West Side.
This is clearly illegal activity in the city of New York.
We also, of course, got the buildings department involved, the housing preservation and development, the fire department.
For this to be lost is for the city to lose its vitality.
So we're hoping to have a very good outcome. It's been a long process, very good collaboration in terms of all the people involved.
If we don't get these laws passed and the city can't beef up its enforcement effort, and if the city doesn't successfully retake these buildings for tenants, then there are thousands of apartments that we've lost.
This is becoming an epidemic pattern throughout Manhattan Island.
These illegal hotels are draining our housing stock. Obviously, the more of these units that are used for transient purposes, for tourists and other situations, it takes away the ability for people who need and crowd for permanent housing to access this form of housing. So I'm very concerned about these illegal hotels. If they were good, they wouldn't be illegal. And they're illegal for a reason. We have to do everything we can to crack down on this and preserve affordable housing in the city, which is so important. Alzheimer's and dementia are just two very terrible diseases, and it's especially hard on the family members. Today, we're going to look at how people are trying to combat this with new and innovative ways.
The elderly are susceptible to Alzheimer's and dementia. A retired psychologist has developed a method by which he can communicate with these patients and provide a feeling of well-being for these people. You'll see his method in The Musical Psychologist.
This is the care program of the Lenox Hill Neighborhood House. I'm Al Warner, pianist for the program, and I look around the room and see all the beautiful faces of our group members, caregivers, relatives, and anybody else who wants to visit for the day to see how much fun we have here. Do we have fun here? Yes, we do have fun. Even the piano player has fun here. Okay, so it's raining outside. Did anybody get wet today?
It's raining.
And in honor of the rain, I'll play. What should I play, Jake? By Mir Bist Du Schön, in honor of the rain. At least it rhymes. Okay. In a previous life, I was a psychologist and a musician, and I'm still holding on to the musician role. And we meet 5 days a week here in the basement club of this beautiful church. This is a freestyle program. People are invited to express themselves, to sing, to dance, to make requests. Our group members seem to use music as a platform to reach out into the world in ways that they don't when they watch TV, and they don't when they play table games, and they don't if you try to have conversation with them. Music, which features songs that they know, gives them a chance to, well, I use the word resonate, to sounds of their own life. And on that, their smiling increases, they move more, they're more animated, their mood lifts, and they can dance and in various ways participate in activities that they might otherwise not do and even be seen as not capable of doing, such as dancing, even given physical handicap.
Alan probably knows every single song. The songs from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's the period of time where our members, our clients enjoyed their life. They were in love, they remember those songs. These are songs, their favorite songs.
It's freestyle and an invitation to live.
I'm Scott Stringer. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Scott Stringer, Manhattan Borough President. And this is Henry Lewis, thanking you for watching as we spotlighted two of the community concerns facing New York City. This program was produced and directed by John Steinmetz. You've been watching some of the problems that face our neighborhoods today. These are our community concerns.